My guest on the program tonight is a senior citizen. He's equally a politician and an opinion leader. Mola Njoh Litumbe. It's a pleasure to have you back on the program after a long time.
Well, I've been away on safari to the United States of America. I returned not so long ago. I went there principally on the invitation of the Cameroonian diaspora.
All right. Okay. We are going to talk more about what you discussed there while in the United States of America.
Yes.
We'll talk about the presidential elections in the country and the visit of the head of state to the Northwest Regional Headquarters, Bamenda, that is in the second part of this program. In the major news briefs of the week, back to my guest, Mola Njoh Litumbe. You've spent more than a month in the United States of America. Why did you go there?
I went to the United States on the invitation of the diaspora there.
Like you said before?
Yes. They had listened to the first interview which Equinox granted me here, and they felt that if I was going to tell the story of Southern Cameroon, which involves some important key players like the United Nations, La République du Cameroun, Nigeria, that the matter is international and should not be limited to the confines of Cameroon alone. They therefore invited me to come and talk to the international community in the capital of the world as it is, so that the voice of this crying child of Southern Cameroon can be heard in the four corners of the world.
So you were invited by Cameroonians who live abroad?
Yes.
Not by the government of the United States of America?
No. It's Cameroonians who live abroad, having listened to the
yes, like you mentioned before.
Yes.
Did you meet some American authorities?
Not officially. I left that to the people who had invited me. They were to invite the people who were to listen to me when I addressed them.
Was that the first time that you were invited overseas?
Yes.
Since you started this struggle?
Yes.
All right. What did you tell them?
Oh, I told them about the problems facing Southern Cameroon. I gave them the history of how two United Nations trust territories, East Cameroon, which was French Cameroon, and British Cameroons, were established. They were parts of the German colony of Cameroon, because when Germany was defeated after the First World War, it renounced all its African territories at the Treaty of Versailles. And because France had overrun the greater part of German Cameroon, it was given that as a mandated territory of the League of Nations. And Britain, a smaller portion called British Cameroons, was also given to Great Britain under the League of Nations. On the formation of the United Nations in 1945 in San Francisco, these mandated territories were converted to trust territories, and agreements signed respectively with France over French Cameroon and with Britain over British Cameroons to prepare these separate territories ultimately to self-government or independence. Now, France granted independence to its own sector on 1st of January 1960. Southern or British Cameroons was still a trust territory. And on 14th of December 1960, the United Nations passed the landmark resolution 1514, saying that colonialism was evil and all colonized people should be granted unconditional independence, whether they were rich or poor, or whether they were educated or stark illiterates. They said that these people were there before the white man came, and they will find their way if they were left on their own. It was a country like Britain who grumbled and said that in some territories they have set up a police force, an army, and a public service, that if they granted independence as had been decided upon the previous on 14th of December, there will be chaos, because in some areas these people were not able to raise the necessary funds to run these public services. So the UN then said, well, look, the ultimate objective of any country is self-government or independence. But if a territory feels that it cannot carry all the burdens of independence, it could negotiate with an already sovereign country to correct the deficiencies that it has. For example, a country may be too small to cater for its own defense, or it may not have sufficient resources to establish embassies around the world. In that case, the UN said in those circumstances, it could opt to join a neighboring sovereign state, either by way of association or by integration. And the resolution 1541, passed the day after the Universal Declaration of Independence for all colonial territories, defined what is independence by association and what is independence by integration with a neighboring sovereign state. Now, the problem in southern Cameroon, which is the southern part of the former territory of British Cameroons, is that although the United Nations conducted a plebiscite on 11th and 12th of February 1961 throughout the national territory of British Cameroons, and the question asked was the same: would you like to have your independence by joining La République du Cameroon, or would you like to have your independence by joining the Federal Republic of Nigeria? The results of the plebiscite are recorded, and the majority...
They voted to join La République.
Yes.
You've already made that
yes.
abundantly clear.
Yes.
From this historical brief that you just gave us,
yes,
you delivered this to them, the
yes.
Cameroonians in the diaspora, those
yes.
who invited you.
Yes.
What was their reaction after that?
Oh, they exclaimed and said that for the first time they are listening to the history of southern Cameroon from somebody who was not just told or educated in a classroom as to what transpired, somebody who was alive and well when these events were actually taking place. So I pointed out that we could not attain independence by association because the territory of southern Cameroon no longer exists. That the only alternative is for us to have independence by integration with La République du Cameroon. Now, the UN in resolution 1541...
Okay, by saying that, I get your point clearly.
Yes.
You, in that case, you are not talking about secession. You are talking about gaining independence
by integration
in Cameroon.
Yes.
Why working with Cameroon?
Yes, if you would...
That is to say, when you say integration, what do you mean?
It was defined in resolution 1541, and it says that if the non-self-governing territory finds that it cannot carry the burdens of independence on its own, it cannot, for example, arrange its defense or have embassies around the world, it could integrate with an already sovereign state. But if it were to do that, they shared the three powers of government, the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary equally.
But Mola, that is already happening.
It hasn't, not to my knowledge.
The country you call Southern Cameroon is already sharing legislative, the executive, and the judicial power with La République?
No, no. I think I may come in and correct you there a little bit. The UN said that in sharing executive power equally, this means that if the country has only one president, that post alternates from one side to the other, because the idea was that even the small territory should taste the sweet honey of independence. Now, therefore, in order to be deemed to be independent, if there was only one president, that position alternated from one side to the other. In the case of legislative equality, if there are few people from the non-self-governing territory, Southern Cameroons, who joined the majority from La République du Cameroun in a federal legislature, the people in Southern Cameroon exercised a veto power on all legislation before it is passed. That gave them equal power in Parliament. For judicial equality, if both sides did not produce an equal number of magistrates throughout the national territory, and there is only one Chief Justice, that post of Chief Justice also alternates from one side to the other.
All right. Now, you have given us the way in for this interview.
Yes.
You have now made it clear that you are fighting for recognition in Cameroon. That is to say, as you have already mentioned, you want these powers, the legislative, the executive, the judiciary, to be shared equally.
That was the arrangement of the United Nations. Yes, and for close to 50 years. We haven't tasted any of these
possibility. Parts. Can it happen? When you look at Cameroon numerically,
yes,
the Southern Cameroons and La République,
yes,
is it possible that you can shape her equally?
Well, it is a matter of agreement. If La République du Cameroun agreed that they wanted Southern Cameroons to join them in accordance with the provisions of the UN Charter, they didn't have much choice in the matter. It was by agreement. Then the UN says, if you are a member state of the United Nations and you are joining any territory, reduce the terms of joining in writing and file a copy at the Secretariat of the United Nations.
So, Mola, what you are saying now is that if we have 20 ministers in Cameroon, for example, 10 should go for La République and 10 for Southern Cameroons?
No, not necessarily. We're talking about the top post, the post of president. That is the post which exercises ultimate authority. That if in one term the president comes from La République du Cameroun, the next term around the president should come from Southern Cameroon.
All right, you want a Southern Cameroonian to be the president of this country?
Yes, well, this ought to have been arranged as far back as 49 years ago. Throughout the association so-called with La République du Cameroun, we have never tasted executive power.
And that is your struggle now?
Yes. That
you have changed your struggle.
Why?
Initially, yes, you were going for secession, independence of Southern Cameroons. Now you are looking for recognition.
No. My position has not changed one bit. Because having a grievance, you go to a tribunal to settle differences of opinion. So Southern Cameroonians went to the African Commission and said that our rights are being trampled upon by La République du Cameroun. That international tribunal has ruled that La République du Cameroun should enter into constructive dialogue with Southern Cameroonians, in particular SCNC and SCAPO, in order to arrange to corrective action which is constitutional, any constitutional deficiencies. It is at that constructive dialogue that a lot of things will be said. And in that dialogue...
But it doesn't change the fact that you have transformed from independence to recognition in Cameroon.
No,
initially, except that you have been deceiving people. I mean, you of the Southern Cameroon, you've been fighting for independence all along.
Yes, because our rights as a people had never been respected. We came in to share power.
Are you saying? I want us to be clear with this.
Yes.
Are you saying that you changed your position after the ruling of the court?
No. The ruling of the court says that, yes, we find that there is a flaw in the constitutional arrangement. And therefore, the two parties should come together under the auspices of the African Commission in order to see whether they can settle their differences.
So, you are saying that those who are fighting for the independence of Southern Cameroon are on the wrong side of the struggle?
No. They are perfectly entitled to say so, because for 49 years, the terms of joining, as stipulated by the United Nations, have not been observed by La République du Cameroun. So the other party is saying, if you are not going to respect international law and order, then there is no reason for us to be with you.
Meanwhile, you are saying we want to be with you, but recognize us.
No. The people of Southern Cameroon, in the plebiscite of February 1961, voted overwhelmingly to join their brothers in La République du Cameroun. I have not shifted from that position. But the terms of joining were that they were to join in accordance with the provisions set out by the UN Charter. Now, that UN organization stipulates the methodology of joining,
which you've already mentioned.
Yes.
You've made it abundantly clear.
Yes.
I have talked to several people who are involved in this struggle.
Yes.
They believe that what we are fighting for is independence.
Yes.
Now, you are saying we want recognition in Cameroon. Sharing of power.
Yes.
That's what you said. That's it's clear.
Yes.
Is this not division?
No, it isn't. You see, if people get together, a husband, a man, and a woman, and they sign an agreement that this marriage between us is monogamous, and when the man is made a chief, he says a chief does not just marry one woman, he takes on other women. The wife whom he got in monogamous wedlock has a right to complain. She can go to court and say, my husband has broken the terms of the marriage. If he is prepared to behave the way that we came together originally, I will stay. Now, that is the position.
And that is your position.
That is
your position.
That is the position that if La République du Cameroun were to come tomorrow and say, we are very sorry, we made a mistake in this whole thing. We were to share power, that if the president comes from one side this time, next time he must come from the other side. We are very sorry. We'll say, all right, since you have already pocketed all the three powers over the last 49 years, are you now prepared that Southern Cameroon should exercise those powers for the ensuing 49 years? Because it was a balancing equation.
Okay, that's what you want to dialogue with the government.
Exactly. And if you have a dispute with someone, you don't fight over it. You go to a tribunal, somebody independent who would listen to both sides, and then deliver a verdict.
I want to have this very clear. That is what you want to sit down with government face to face and talk?
Exactly, yes.
That we want to be with you. We want to be here.
Yes.
That you have to give us this.
You have to agree to
to shape our...
You have to agree to the terms of coming together. If you don't agree to the terms of coming together, you are the one pushing us out. As I use the example of the man and his monogamously married woman.
The marriage example.
Yes, that if the husband acquires other wives and the wife complains, she doesn't take a dagger and kill the husband because that is her husband.
What do you say to those people who are contrary to you?
They're
fighting
for
independence?
No, they are not contrary to me. They say that this government of La République du Cameroun...
They are contrary to you because you are for the fact that we remain here, but they want to leave. So it's contradiction.
No, there is no contradiction whatsoever. It is in desperation because this government is impervious to the rights of international treaties. They were jubilant when the International Court of Justice ruled that Bakassi belongs to Cameroon. At that point they hailed the International Court of Justice and said, yes, that is so. But the Banjul Commission is set up by a decentralized arm of the United Nations called the African Union. And they have listened to the petition of Southern Cameroonian and I said, look, we don't want fight.
Yes. Is this struggle for independence, this has been happening for many years. The struggle for independence, you are on struggle for recognition within the country, the Republic of Cameroon.
No. In actual fact, on a matter of correction, to tell you the bad faith of La République du Cameroun, they alleged that we joined them in a federation on 1st of October 1961. This is not true. Because when La République got independence on 1st of January 1960, they prepared a constitution which was approved by their assembly on, I think, 24th of February 1960. Now, what happened in this so-called federal constitution was that it is the constitution of La République du Cameroun as a sovereign state which was amended on 1st of September 1961. We were not there. We were still a trust territory. They amended the constitution which had been passed by their National Assembly on 21st of February 1960 and changed their name to La République Fédérale du Cameroun. Now, if you change your name from Harrison Tamfu to Johnson White, you are still the same person. So La République changed its name by passing this law number 2461, to show you that other laws have been passed since they got independence, and this was the 24th law changing their name, and said that effective 1st of October, they were going to swallow the territory of Southern Cameroon and incorporate it in their territory. This was the same La République du Cameroun which merely changed its name by passing a law in their parliament which only covered the citizens of La République du Cameroun as then constituted. If it was truly a federation, it would have meant two parties coming together and say, all right, this is the law which will govern the conduct of affairs between us. That is not the case. So what happened was that La République du Cameroun merely changed its name and took on Southern Cameroon as an appendage and colonized Southern Cameroon. That is the point I am making.
This struggle, like I was about to say, has been taking place for a very long time now.
Yes.
Is it attainable?
Of course it is attainable. Because the world is governed by the rule of law. That's why we have the United Nations, which was specially created.
But laws have been passed and have not been respected.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Rule of law now.
Yes, that is a delinquent state. And the mission I have is to show the world that here is a country, La République du Cameroon. They have failed to obey the prescriptions of the UN Charter, which says that if a member state of the UN is joining another territory, they must reduce the terms in writing and file a copy at the Secretariat of the UN. Otherwise, that arrangement is invalid. They sued, for example, Nigeria at the International Court of Justice, saying Nigeria was occupying part of their territory, when they know for certain that there is no treaty of union between Southern Cameroon and La République du Cameroon to have entitled them to do so. So in the process, they misled the International Court of Justice, which believed that by saying they are Cameroon and Bakassi is located in Cameroon, therefore La République had title over Bakassi. That was a fraudulent act.
So you are saying that the rights of Southern Cameroonians will be determined and well felt and, of course, propagated and enjoyed in a federation?
No. There is no federation. There never has been.
That is what I'm saying, that if there is a federation, this is where you will be recognized.
If there was a proper federation of two states, because that law 2461 passed by the Parliament of La République du Cameroon merely changed its name. It was not a federation at all. But the law recognized the state of Southern Cameroon and described it in that law as a state of West Cameroon.
Now that you mentioned elections, as you know very well, 2011 presidential elections, just around the corner, just next year.
Well, as I say, there are two different entities, Southern Cameroon and La République du Cameroon. They never joined, so that they are still apart. If La République du Cameroon wishes to go on to elections, I can only wish them good luck. But if they want to participate, including the territory of Southern Cameroon, they first must obey the international decision of the African Union, saying go into constructive dialogue, resolve the constitutional problem with Southern Cameroon first.
I asked you that question because you mentioned in the course of this interview that you wanted the president to come from two sides of the country. That is to say, this year,
yes,
the president from here, the other year.
It's not me saying, it is stipulated in UN Resolution 1541, passed on 15th of December 1960, with La République sitting there and Nigeria as members of the United Nations. They passed that resolution. So we were not there.
So the elections mean nothing to you?
They don't mean very much. I would advise strongly that President Biya should first of all respect the decision of this international tribunal if he is going to be the leader of a country in good standing. Otherwise, he is not of good standing. He will be a buccaneer president if he accepts the decision of one international tribunal and disregards others. In taking the matter to the International Court of Justice was a fraudulent act because there is no treaty of union between the area in which Bakassi is located and La République du Cameroon. La République du Cameroon traditionally did not have a boundary with Nigeria.
So, Mola, are you saying that Southern Cameroonians, like you call them, the
Yes.
so-called Southern Cameroonians,
Yes.
they should boycott the elections?
They
Because
have,
the truth remains that they are here, they are part and parcel of this country. And this country has an impact on them.
no.
Very much.
No, they may be because the country is under siege. The southern Cameroon is under siege. And
That is to say?
that is to say, the army, the police, and the administrative authorities are an imposition on poor southern Cameroonians. They don't even have a police force of their own, you know. And therefore that whoever is colonizing is just like the time when we were colonized by imperial powers. You were not free to do as you, because they will take policemen and gendarmes, people looking like you, to arrest you and beat you up, although they were black people like you. This is what is happening now. That La République du Cameroon is colonizing southern Cameroons. The sharing of power, which the UN stipulated to be the basis on which...
Let us come back to the elections.
Yes.
Should they go and vote, participate?
I don't see why they should trouble themselves in that. I will not do that, because although I am governed by La République du Cameroon because they are colonizing southern Cameroons, really I have no business there. What is the purpose of an election to elect another president when the issue is hot before an international tribunal, which have said, hey, gentlemen, you better settle the constitutional issue between yourselves? I would say that the priority should be for La République du Cameroon to resolve that constitutional matter with southern Cameroon, and then say that we now want to go for election.
Like you said, a southern Cameroonian president,
Yes.
that's what you were advocating
Yes.
before.
Yes.
How is that going to happen? How is that possible?
It would require drawing a proper federal constitution in which there will be input from both sides, not the so-called federal constitution of 1st of September 1961, which was merely La République du Cameroon changing its name. It was just pretext. You can change your name anytime. They changed it from La République du Cameroon to La République Fédérale du Cameroon, United Republic of Cameroon, and back again to La République du Cameroon. It is the same person. There has been no union between Southern Cameroon and La République du Cameroon as required under international law.
Come back to the issue of the presidency.
Yes.
What does it require? You mentioned about the two parties sitting together and then discussing. What again? What more?
No, then you will have to amend the constitution and provide for
the constitution of which country?
Of the created federal constitution.
The federal constitution?
Yes. It cannot be the constitution of one side alone, either Southern Cameroon. Southern Cameroon had a constitution. La République du Cameroon had its own constitution. So, if you are going to create a federation, it wouldn't be the amendment of either the West Cameroon constitution or the constitution of La République du Cameroon. I don't know whether I've made myself clear.
But
one party just used trickery, amended its own constitution, and dragged the other person in.
You've made yourself abundantly clear on that point.
Yes.
So you are saying that if they want to come together and then to interchange the presidency of the republic, it necessitates the drawing of a new constitution.
Yes,
entirely.
That is why they should go into this dialogue with representatives of Southern Cameroon, SCAPO and SCNC, and let each party ventilate their constitutional grievances.
And then what do you think that the constitution will look like?
Oh, that will be for the two parties to agree on.
Well, because when you say that the president from here,
yes,
this year,
yes,
and the president from there,
yes,
that year,
yes,
who votes?
No, if the two parties, they are two separate entities, each of them entitled to independence in their own right. The fact that they are joining together does not extinguish their right to sovereign independence. No, it's like the Gambia and Senegal. At some point, as you would remember from your history, they were Senegambia. But having prepared a treaty of union, filed it at the UN, that provided the conditions whereby the marriage could be dissolved if the need arose. So at a point, after a number of years, they just decided that no, we've had enough of each other, and they went their separate ways. This is what I would like to see between Southern Cameroon and La République du Cameroon. First, there has got to be corrective action. One party has pocketed all the three powers of government over a period of 49 years. If it is prepared to allow the other party, since they were to share these posts equally, to exercise them for the next 49 years before the rotation begins, I am sure that Southern Cameroonians will be delighted to...
So in this system of government, this new system,
yes,
everybody votes?
No.
I mean, the president?
No. If it says that the presidency will alternate from La République du Cameroon to Southern Cameroon.
For example, if
yes,
it's the turn of Southern Cameroon.
yes, the voting will be in Southern Cameroon.
Southern Cameroonians
And
vote.
whoever, if it is Arisin Tamfu who wins election there, goes to Unity
You
Palace.
go to govern people who did not vote you? Is that a possibility?
No, this is because you can install people in power through an electoral college. You don't have to have universal elections each time that a position got to be. It could be by groups of people, councils, and so on, voting a particular person. All that needs to do is that the people may perhaps vote for their councils, and the councils have the power to nominate somebody for various positions. This can be done. Even in the United States, the voting of the presidency is not by universal adult suffrage.
How soon do you wish this to happen?
As soon as convenient, but certainly before the next election. If La République du Cameroon refuses to acknowledge the fact that we were people who were not part of their territory when they got independence, and that if they really value our association as equal to themselves, they should be prepared to dialogue. We don't think...
That is before the elections?
Before the elections. It is 1 year now since the decision was passed by that tribunal. La République du Cameroon has given no indication as to whether it's prepared for the dialogue. In those circumstances...
So you might wish to see an Anglophone, or rather a Southern Cameroonian president,
yes,
by next year during the
elections. Yes, I would say that in the constructive dialogue, we will make it clear to them that for 49 years we have been deprived of our rights, executive, legislature, and judiciary. And that since we were to share these things equally from the word go, are they now prepared that for the next 49 years at least, we should exercise these three powers of government? If they say, we are very sorry, we would like to atone for our sins, I can see no reason why, having voted overwhelmingly to join them, why there should be separation. But it depends on the attitude of La République. If they adopt the position that what we have done, you have to stay with us, then they are the ones precipitating the breakup.
If that dialogue is not accepted,
yes,
if the government well, the so-called Republic, if they don't want to dialogue with you, what next?
Yes. The way forward is that for the first time in the history of this struggle, the matter of the complaints of Southern Cameroons have entered the United Nations Club. You know, the United Nations, headquartered in New York, has created regional unions. You have, for example, the European Union, which takes up issues concerning Europe. You have the African Union, which considers matters pertaining to Africa. And all sovereign states in Africa belong to the African Union. They even have a constitution. Article 4B of that constitution stipulates that because of the haphazard manner in which Africa was shared by imperial powers, each sovereign African state should respect the boundaries handed to it at independence. So, if La République is headstrong and refuses to dialogue, to the extent to which this recommendation of the African Commission has been endorsed by the summit of the heads of state and governments of the African Union, which is a decentralized arm of the United Nations, we will go to the African Union and say, look, we were never part of La République du Cameroun when they got their independence. The African Commission has recommended that we dialogue with them to address constitutional issues, one of which is our status in any sort of federation that they claim to have. They are not coming. To the extent to which we were entitled in our own right to sovereign independence, we want to exercise that right, and we request you as a decentralized arm of the United Nations to take our petition to the appropriate organ, perhaps the Security Council, and say that these people want their independence and we want it.
So that's your next plan of action?
Yes, that is it. So I don't
How much time are you giving La République? I mean, there should be a deadline. If they stay for long, they can stay for 50 years.
Yes.
You keep on waiting for 50 years?
No.
How much patience do you have?
No, actually, if the parties were to take my advice, I would say the time is now. This is the time after 1 year since the decision was passed by an international tribunal and La République has not reacted. I said this is the time to apply through the African Union to table our matter before the United Nations for the sovereign independence of Southern Cameroon.
All right, Mola Njoh Litumbe, we are about to come to the end of the interview, but before we go, as you know very well, the head of state Paul Biya is expected to visit the Northwest Regional Headquarters, Bamenda, anytime from now. The date is not yet official. Will you welcome him?
Well, if he is coming to announce or to make a confession of his sins of omission, I would welcome him. If it is merely to show that he has military might and can keep Southern Cameroon under subjugation for many years to come, he will not receive my approval. He will not be welcome.
Do you think that visit is going to have any impact?
It may not have any physical impact because in these matters, it will require international diplomacy. I think Southern Cameroons are on the right track now that their matter has entered the UN circle. And having entered the UN circle, there is no need for warfare. It's to pursue it logically. And I am confident in my own mind that the way things are going, Southern Cameroon will be free.
So it's meaningless for you, the visit?
Yes, I mean, I don't see what he's coming to do in Bamenda in the face of an international tribunal which have said dialogue with Southern Cameroonians. address constitutional issues under our auspices. Address them. Then if he behaves then as a gentleman, because to err is human, he could say, I'm very sorry, I misunderstood this whole thing. Now I am ready to make amends. He will be very welcome in Bamenda. But if he is visiting Bamenda in order to show the strength of his military might...
I'm asking you this question because some of those who are involved in this struggle have made it clear in a communique that they don't want him to visit Bamenda.
Yes, but I will not say that outright. I will say that if he is coming to try and make amends for his manifold sins of omission, then he will be welcome in Bamenda, because to err is human, to forgive divine.
Mola Njoh Litumbe, I've spent a wonderful time talking with you. We've come to the end of the interview. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for asking me to come. Anytime you request that I should visit you to discuss these things openly, so that Cameroonians who were not even born in 1961 can know the truth of the matter. I am delighted that you asked me to come here today, in which I have made certain salient points, that the so-called Federal Constitution of Cameroon, which was supposed to be the joining instrument of Southern Cameroon and La République du Cameroun, was a fake. It was merely La République du Cameroun which changed its name and dragged Southern Cameroon by the tail and have colonized us ever since.
Thank you once again, Mr. Litumbe.
Thank you.
And thank you, Ade, for watching Top Stories tonight. And please keep on writing to us at topstories42@yahoo.com. We'd like to hear from you as usual, and thank you so much. Many of you who have been writing to us out there, thank you for your recommendations and comments. I will be with you again next Sunday, same time on Equinox Television. Have a wonderful time watching our programs. Mola, it was a pleasure.
There was a moving ceremony at Mogadishu Airport as African Union peacekeeping forces